Well, hello, friends. It's Caitlin and Shanika from Get Checkered. Get Checkered is part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported. Today, we get to shout out a fellow podcast on our network. And if you haven't checked out Bollywood is for Lovers, you should. Matt Bose and Emily Fraser explore the world of Hindi cinema through the lens of two Canadian cinephiles. And as you might know, I actually studied film too, so I think this is really, really cool. And if you're interested, you can head to albertapodcast.com to learn more.
And just a little, it's Erin Fraser.
Oh, shit. What was I saying?
You said Emily Fraser.
Oh my God. My mind is elsewhere, everybody.
It's fine.
You probably, if you're watching us on YouTube, you see someone that we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. I mean, if you're listening, you're probably hearing someone we haven't heard from in a couple of weeks. Caitlin, where have you been? What have you been doing?
Hi friends, I've missed you guys. I've been listening to all the episodes, just like catching up like you guys have. I've been away. So I think I started off, I went to Palm Springs for spring break and it was phenomenal. Like it was so much fun. But okay, so living in Vancouver now, life is just rain every day, right? Down in Palm Springs to get away from the rain, and what do we get down there? Which never happens. We got rain, and I was like,
how many days of your trip?
It was just one,
but
like it was cold for Palm Springs standards for the whole time, and I was like, I mean, it's fine. It's still like in the teens, and I am happy with that.
Yeah, but Jesus.
It was like incredible though. The house we were at. My friend's in-laws, like just impeccable freaking house. Amazing in every sense. They had something called a steamer in the kitchen. Have you heard of a steamer?
Oh, what's a steamer?
Yeah, so it's like a microwave, but it keeps like the moisture and stuff. Steams it to heat it back up. So like you can put meat in there and you steam it to warm it back up instead of a microwave.
I have never heard of this.
Right?
Me neither. Is this how like the 1% lives with a steamer instead of a microwave?
It was incredible. I'm like, this is what I want in my life now. I have figured it out finally. And just like they were so nice and so welcoming. It was a great trip. And my friend Jen actually ended up staying down there for another week, and she got the warm weather the week after.
So oh, of course.
Very jealous, but she deserved it. She worked so hard. So it was good for her. And then actually, where was I afterwards? The next weekend, right? It was the next weekend, I think. I went to Revelstoke.
Yeah.
For a ski trip. So that was a lot of driving, a lot of podcasts.
Wait, how far is Revelstoke from where you are?
Because 6.5 hour drive.
Jesus Christ. Because from where we are, it's like what? 4?
Like 5.
It's 5 hours?
But I guess like everyone that was coming from the Calgary direction had to go through Radium.
Okay.
So normally you would just take like Highway 1 straight west. Right. But no, they took a detour and like did the Radium loop down south. So it added like an hour and a half to them, which sucks. However, the bus ride going out there is just a shit show. It's just all drinking. So another hour to drink on the bus.
Yeah, I feel you. Just exhausting. Fun, but exhausting.
Yeah, but the bus ride going back they would have taken is like always the quietest bus ride. Everyone's just like so dead from the weekend. But,
oh wait, was this one of those trips that's through like this?
Yep, Society of Petroleum Engineers, Young Professionals chapter.
There we go. Did you, aside from our friends that went, like was there other people that you knew on the trip?
Only small handful. So shout out Ada Fong, she's the chairperson. She was 4th year and we were her frosh actually, so we knew her and some of her friends.
Okay, yeah, you've been doing all of the things.
Yeah, what have I been studying? I don't know, I stay up to like 1 or 2 and then I'm up at like 6 or 7 and I think it's affecting me.
Wait, you're up until 1 or 2 studying
and like writing papers, presentations.
yeah, she's not really selling the whole master's.
It's not sustainable for me. I could plan my days out better and make it better, but you know what? This is my life choice to do the things I want to do too.
I was gonna say, so it's like these are the decisions that we make and put ourselves in these positions.
Yeah. But that's about me. What's new with you? I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks.
I know. I don't have much. Okay, for those who don't know, I am not a winter sport. Actually, I should frame that better. I'm not a sports person. I think I played soccer once as a kid, and my mom was like, no, absolutely not, never again, because I was sitting in the field like playing with flowers as like a soccer ball was like zooming by my head, just no awareness to what was going on. Did a lot of dance and stuff, but dance is a sport. But aside from that, just haven't really done anything. And then this winter rolled around and I was like, you know what? I have more than enough finances. This has to be the time that I pick up skiing. So Shay and I are into week 2 of our ski lessons of 3. And it's been actually going really, really well. Minus the fact that, my God, I have weak shins or something, because my shins are like, they just are bruised from the boots.
Oh no.
That's fine. I think that's like the first purchase I'm gonna make post, like, at the end of the season. I was like, I could probably do without skis for another season. Like, I'm ski a little bit more, but I need boots. So that's gonna come. So it's been super, super fun. But it's also been a learning, I was telling Caitlin, I was like, I feel like I haven't done something new in a long time. And she's like, you do new things all the time. Maybe accurate, but I haven't done a sport and like that in a long time. So it's been fun. We've been taking lessons at COP here in Calgary, and it's been great. And then the only other thing that I've done lately is taken a lot of my online friendships to in real life, because for those who don't know, according to Jason Kenney, COVID is over. So at my place of employment, I don't know if people know where I work. I don't mind sharing. I work at this place called Platform Calgary, which just supports entrepreneurs all over the world to accelerate their businesses. And I just advise startups. But I was able to invite some of these girls that I knew basically from like Instagram DMs and Twitter DMs and stuff like that, because they're all working on startups. And it was so great to, I know Nikki, Caitlin knows about Nikki. I've chatted about Nikki a ton. But Carly and Kaylee, to meet them in person and talk about their businesses and what they're working on. We had like a great meal together. I showed them my iconic video of me driving into a curb and popping my tire. But that's not how friendship starts. Like, I don't know what it'd be. But yeah, it's been a lot of social events, which has been, I don't know, kind of taxing, I found. Like, we had that giant work event. I was at a conference the day before, Caitlin knows. I had all of these thinking thoughts about like energy and stuff like that. And then we had just a weekend where I was spending multiple nights just out trying to meet people. So I'm tired in that front, but similar to Caitlin, but not so similar, because our girl is already in master's program. I am right now studying for my GMAT because I want to go do my MBA. And studying for that is a nightmare. It is it is so hard to carve out the time when you're working full-time, and sometimes more than full-time, to make it a priority. And last week I was kind of pulling like a you think, Caitlin. I was just like living my life, and then was like, oh shit, I really got to get through these chapters. When is that going to happen? So I made a new promise to myself during the week, Monday to Friday. I will not be hanging out with friends. Just for weekends, I'll see my friends, because it's just
for a little bit. Just for a little bit,
right? Just for a short amount of time to get me to the bigger goal. But it's been tough, dude. Oh my God.
My roommate's studying for her LSAT, and I just see papers everywhere, and I'm like, that don't look fun. Studying for these tests. No.
And it's not like you just can like study a little bit and you're done. It's like you're studying for, I think by the end of it, for the LSAT and all of these, so there's like a GMAT, LSAT, DAT, MCAT, all of that kind of stuff. It's like over 400, 500 hours.
Yeah, it's months, right?
Yeah, by the time you actually get to writing the test, and it's like, right. So that's in my life right now, which is
but But on a good note, Formula One is coming back. We have our first race next season. So that is like something fun that we can look forward to now. You know what? It's like, it's not saying that studying and like doing all this work isn't fun, but it's like Formula One really brings enjoyment to do. So
and a little bit more structure, I feel like.
Mhm.
Like we got to wake up for those races, and Caitlin's about to get more fucked than we were last year because she's an hour behind.
I know.
So
But the first race in Bahrain is 8 a.m. Pacific
a
time. And I was like,
blessing, a freaking blessing. 8 a.m. for her, 9 p.m. for 9 a.m. for me, and then 11 for Courtney. So
love it.
this is a dream.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Lord.
It's just the other ones that become a little rough.
Right. But actually, you guys, on a more serious note, we do have something we want to address at the beginning of this episode.
Right. I totally forgot about this. For those who don't know, we were more active on social than we normally are, because typically we just post stuff and then leave it and don't think about it. But 2 episodes ago, we interviewed Amelia Taylor, who is this, I think I said brilliant Formula One. She wants to be a writer. She is a writer, and who just has a really nuanced approach to all the things that she's discussing. So very similar beliefs like Caitlin, myself, and Courtney, and how we talk about gender in the sport. How do we talk about socioeconomic issues, but the environment, and how do we hold the sport in its whole accountable? But she also is extremely young. She's 17 years old. So it kind of pissed us off, I think is the right word, pissed me the fuck off, that she has like this horde of trolls on the internet that really have it out for her. So on our post, we started seeing comments to like ratio her. And for those who don't know, that aren't in the kids lingo, that's like a way of trying to essentially like harass someone online. But they'll comment things like ratio all over. One of them posted a video and tagged our account in it, and they were posting really weird things there too. Like it was just so insane. And we just want to say this flat out, which we put on Twitter. We are not going to be the breeding ground for harassment for anyone, let alone someone that is marginalized and also someone that is very young. From what I could tell, the people that were harassing her are like also seem very young. So just it's just annoying. That doesn't mean that it's right. So we just want to say our space is not for that. We will call it out every single time we see it. And frankly, to people that want to do that kind of shit, just get the fuck out. Like Caitlin and I are, I wanted to say this and put it on Twitter, but I was like, I need to ask Caitlin first. We are millennial women who have gone through so much shit in our lives that at this point, we do not care to call you out and bury you. Like we will do it. We don't care. So Amelia's great. Please go listen to that episode. If you want to follow her, her handle is Formula Amelia on Twitter. She's going to be posting more and more work. She's getting really great. She has a seat at a lot of great tables. So if you're looking for updates on the sport, I would also head over there to follow her.
Yeah, and like Shanika, like I didn't even know what was going on, and it was on our Instagram account. So I actually check Instagram like a good amount. But like, when Shanika told us, she's like, it's just so ironic because they're being so misogynistic, and it's towards Amelia. And the episode you did with Amelia, like you talk so much about misogyny in the sport, and it's just like, there it is on a silver platter as an example.
Seriously, and I think
ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, and it's a serious issue in the sport. And what's interesting is like, Caitlin and I's podcast is still a tiny podcast, but we want to make it clear that these are things that we believe in and we will hold people to account for it. It's just like not the space for it. And I really hope if you are online and you feel safe and comfortable and you see stuff like this, that you call it out, because a lot of the time it's these women who are backing each other up, or anyone that's marginalized. I've seen a lot of Black Formula One fans get attacked too. Like, we're just defending ourselves out there. We need other people to lend their voices to that too. So yeah, it's deeply ironic and also ridiculous.
So yeah, if you have those views, just stay away from our space, stay away from Amelia.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe learn how to not be so awful in the world. I don't know, that would help you too. So
yeah, and if you're a 12-year-old behind a keyboard, like, please stop.
I really wonder like when that's going to change, because it's getting worse and worse, and like more people, it's just like, can that end? It's so
Yeah.
annoying.
I think what's concerning is with these accounts, right? You report them and then they might get suspended for a few days, but then they'll be back again. So even like Instagram and Facebook, they built this behemoth, right? But they don't even know how to control it and control the harassment that's on the site and all the issues that come with it. So you're right. Like, are people going to learn? Maybe. Like, I don't think, these kids that are doing this probably in 10 years will be like, what the hell was I doing? But how do you protect people now? I don't know what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to have good spaces. But I guess, like, kind of speaking on spaces, Caitlin, what are we trying this year?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, going back to a positive note. So I don't know if you guys listened to, we also did an interview with Ross Fruin. He's the CEO of Grid Rival. So they are the motorsport like fantasy app. And Shanika and I just started a league on there. So anyone is welcome to join. It's a public account. I think I made it public. I tried. So if it doesn't work, let us know. But yeah, feel free to join. It's honestly Get Checkered is the league. And then you just follow the prompts, you make your team, you can change it throughout the season. And we'll see. I don't know. Like Shanika and I, honestly, we haven't talked about like, ooh, what's the winning prize? But we can figure out something.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Work on it. It'd be fun. Like,
please join. I know I'm doing one with my coworkers, but I don't know. We've never done this before, so you're coming along for the ride. This podcast was also a thing where we were like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just going to do this, and now a bunch of people all over the world listen to us. So if you want to join us over there, we'll make sure to put the referral link in the description of the podcast. I know I say that all the time and then like miss a bunch of links. I apologize, but it will be there.
We have the link in our Insta story right now. We'll actually let's put it, Shanika, we can put it in our like intros on some of these websites and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
You have until the 19th, I think, to join.
Yeah, because then the season kicks off. And let me tell you, it is very expensive. Caitlin and I spent like literally 30 minutes trying just on the phone being like, okay, I can't afford any of the people that I want. So what are we
I know like it's one of our headlines. We'll get to him. But there is someone that was announced that would be rejoining Formula One. Like he's kind of cheap on the app right now. But like he showed up. So it's like hopefully he shows up in the season because I definitely put him on my team.
Caitlin, I think that's a perfect segue though to our headlines. Everyone, we're going to do headlines first and then talk about Drive to Survive. I'm keeping it light and easy this episode because it's about to get crazy starting next week. But Caitlin alluded to it. Who's back in Formula One?
K-Mag. Kevin Magnussen back with Haas.
And on a multi-year contract, people, multi-year, not even just like a, okay, come for a year, what? Multi-year contract. Why do you think that is?
Like, he wasn't one of your guesses, was he? I don't think he was on many people's.
I think I did, like, I briefly mentioned him. I was like, oh, Kevin Magnussen, maybe. But then I was so focused on everyone else. Like, I really wanted Nico Hülkenberg to come back. And actually, I saw on Twitter, which again, I'm so sorry. I'll promise we'll check these things more. That a few people were like, oh yeah, I'd want Nico to come back too. Like, I saw your tweets. We saw your tweets. And obviously we were wrong. That's okay.
Oh, I'm excited. I thought Kevin Magnussen, he brings like, and I would say a nice attitude, but it's just like almost refreshing, kind of funny from a third person opinion. He can be an arse, but
an arse?
An arse.
Yeah, I think this speaks to, because remember Haas last season had 2 rookies, right? And they're like, we're just gonna do this, it's gonna be whatever. Also, I think money, big play, obviously, with who was partnered with Mick, but I actually think it'll be really beneficial for them to have a bit more of a seasoned driver on the team to help again teach Mick, but also guide the team a little bit more. Like, I think they need some sort of something. Like, having 2 rookies is fine, I guess, but I think having that like experience helps a lot.
And like, there's a reason they picked Magnussen, because it's like, I have a feeling like his like connection with the team already, and like I'm pretty sure he's the kind of guy that's not afraid to let people know what he's thinking about the car and the performance.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how he does, but I'm still shell shocked that it's a multi-year contract. Like, that's what surprised
that
me
says
most.
something, don't it?
Yeah, they must have a lot of faith in him, or they must have a lot of faith in their car, or something is shifting here at Haas.
Okay, so the financials, how do you think those have changed since Earl Cully is
Earl Cully. Yeah.
Earl Cully?
We don't know. We pronounce it so wrong. But I actually don't know, because we mentioned this in the last episode, but Haas was like, oh, money's not an issue. Sponsorship's not an issue. I'm like, it has been an issue. It's been an issue for 4 years. Like, that's all we've heard about, is that money is an issue. But I wonder if Kevin Magnussen is bringing sponsors with him. Maybe that's what he was able to leverage and create a longer deal. Like, I don't know. But we have to see what ends up happening, because we know that this team has no money. I thought that FIA/Formula One should give them a bailout in some degree, because it's like,
yeah, right.
we know you have the money, first of all, and yes, of
And
course.
the fact that like the timing of it was like you're not going to pull a new team in at this point, so like to maintain the 10 teams and like given the extraordinary external forces at play right now.
We also talked a little bit about like Andretti. Maybe Andretti's popped back into the conversation, because we know he wants to buy a team.
Yeah, but like what would he have had ready in like 2 weeks, right?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. And also Andretti, we talked about this, but the issue that why the Alfa Romeo deal fell through was because Alfa wanted to keep a lot of control of the team, and Andretti wanted more control. And with Gene Haas and the Haas team, like, Gene Haas still wants a lot of control of the team, even though he's less present. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens. But the Haas is doing a lot better than we thought, hey, at testing.
Okay, yeah, like kind of impressive watching them at the like preseason testing. So we got here that like for test 2 on the Friday, I'm pretty sure, Magnussen fucking comes back with a bang and he gets fastest time. And then on test 3, Mick Schumacher actually gets second fastest time behind Maxi Boy. Like, do you think Haas is coming through? They put a lot of time and effort, they said, into this 2022 car. So
I know we'll have to see, because we know that testing, and this is probably the biggest meme, right? Oh, if you're watching us on YouTube, you probably just saw a cat's head pop up. But
Turkey's right here.
The biggest meme is the fact that Mercedes always shows up and is like, we don't have a good car. We're not going to be competitive. And then Lewis doubles down on it. George, I think, got the media training from Mercedes and is also like, I don't know, we don't have a good car. And then we know that when the first race rolls around, they like blow everyone out of the water. But like Ferrari's done pretty well in testing, but to have Haas at the top, I think they're probably even a little surprised that that's where they're at.
And like, we know that preseason is not necessarily how it's going to play out in the races, but like, there's some promise in those results. I think they would not have got those with the drivers and the car last year.
Oh, for sure. It's so I just saw this quote, but this is from Band Sports. Lando, and this is another thing where I'm like, do we trust any of these boys? Lando believes McLaren is in a group behind Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. So you know that like top 4, best of the rest. But he also said he believes Haas has good pace and is unsure if McLaren are even the best of the rest this time around. And I feel like that's a giant troll. Like, what?
Like, I think I would believe the statement they're behind the Red Bull, Mercedes, and even Ferrari. I would argue probably this year, just from what we've seen. But to be like, oh, I don't even know who'll be like best of the rest. Haas could maybe beat us, is what I infer from that statement. And I'm like,
yeah, like, is everyone bored? Come on, boys.
Like, if that happens,
yeah,
I would be blown out of the water.
Yeah, our fantasy league team will get hit significantly if that happens.
Actually, no, because I put Magnussen.
But we both have
in my team. But I picked Ferrari as my car.
Yeah, that's a thing. Hey, like we're definitely thinking Ferrari's made the biggest leap this year. So we'll have to see what happens. I think I don't want to speak for you, girl, but I'm so freaking excited that Bahrain is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the longest break ever, but it's like, oh,
I
we're
know.
finally there.
Well, that's very exciting. And then actually, like, while we're maybe talking about McLaren, we only really got a showing from Lando the past few days because poor Danny Rick. Oh yeah. So Jason Kenny thinking COVID is over in Alberta. No, Danny Rick just got COVID, sir.
Yeah, so he was out of
Not one and
testing,
done.
and they had McLaren. It's so interesting how all these teams work together. So Alpine and McLaren both put out statements that, you know, if Danny Rick is still sick come Bahrain, like actual race day or whatever that looks like, that Oscar Piastri would be able to drive for them. And I was like, oh, interesting. Does that mean the Oscar Piastri to McLaren like pipeline is being built right now? Like what's going on here? Or is it just like they want to give a junior a opportunity in a car, which I was like, maybe. I don't know what's going on there. But there's a ton of reserve drivers to pick from. So I don't know what's happening there. But yeah, obviously wishing Danny Rick a speedy recovery because
yes, just around the corner.
And also COVID is no joke. So
no.
yeah,
These like get COVID parties that happen. It's like, y'all.
I know.
That was it. Like we will look back on that time and we'll be like, what the fuck? Anyways, okay, so that's the McLaren. We can bring up Mercedes maybe next. Because Mercedes had a drastic change actually that we saw recently. They opted to drop those side pods. If you've seen the visuals of the car, you should go look it up. Like you'll have Ferrari on one end of the spectrum with these massive swimming pool side pods.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Mercedes on the opposite extreme, which literally like took them out. And then the other cars are somewhere in the middle. But it's just like quite a difference for Mercedes that like originally had them.
Yeah.
And then just dropped them in this Bahrain testing. And like what I noted here is that like there was questions if like someone questioned Toto, I guess, like if he thought it was still legal and blah blah blah. I guess someone incorrectly quoted Christian Horner being like, oh, it doesn't look legal, of course not, Mercedes, blah blah blah. And he had to be like, no, it's interesting learning about stuff I would have said. And then like Red Bull put a statement out being like, no, he didn't say that. Okay. Anyway, so Toto was talking about like, no, we believe it's still legal. He was quoted to say, when you go in a specific development direction that you deem as having the FIA a part of scrutinizing it, you're exchanging the CAD, so computer aided design data with them, and you're making them part of the process. So, I mean, if they're involving FIA and FIA isn't withholding their true thoughts,
yeah,
it should be legal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's been surprising most is seeing all these cars come out in testing and seeing how they drive and stuff is how all the teams interpreted the regulations. Mm-hmm. So we have, like Caitlin said, just such an array of what the vehicles even look like, which I would assume, and this is my assumption, obviously, but like as the season goes on, the cars actually might end up looking more and more like each other. And as this era continues, that they might end up looking more and more like each other.
Right.
Yeah, right now.
Maybe like with the cost cap, I don't know how much they would change throughout this year.
I fucking forgot.
But definitely, like you're correct with like the era, seeing like which direction reigns supreme.
Yeah, like that. We'll have to see because
I think this season's fun. This will be a fun season to watch.
I think it's gonna be a huge. There's so many just things up in the air because even when we were doing the car review episodes, like we couldn't say much because we were like, well, we don't know anything until they're in testing. But then they go to testing and Haas is out on top and all of us are just confused. So we also don't know anything. We won't know anything until the first race.
Yeah.
The last headline, or one of the last ones. Yeah. We're going to talk about the boy we never talk about.
When those dropped from Haas, that one.
There we go. Yeah. And we actually did mention his name in the last episode because it was impossible to avoid it given his current situation. But this is more of just like, I don't know how to approach it. Basically, the one who shall not be named is starting a foundation for athletes that cannot compete. As you know, there have been a lot of athletes that have been banned in certain sports given Russia's invasion of Ukraine. but also tied to, you know, concerns around state-run doping and things like that that have existed since the Olympics and things like that. So, Caitlin, got any thoughts on that?
So, yeah. So I think like Mazepin is coming from such a place of like ultimate privilege, right? And so like an inconvenience that like, oh, you can't have this job because your country fucking just like oh my God, I just can't even. Your country's like invading another country unnecessarily, totally unprompted, maybe starting a world war, blah 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 blah. And you're concerned that like, oh, they did that, I lose my seat. Oh, okay, no, that's not your problem. Your dad's still a billionaire, okay? Like, there's a reason this is happening because Russia should not be doing what it's doing right now. And there's a reason that a lot of Russian athletes and the Belarusian athletes are not allowed to compete because the associations are saying, we are putting this in place to make a stand against your country, who we don't believe what they're doing, okay? Yeah. And like, do you recognize that what they're doing is incorrect? Do you recognize that your father is in circles with Putin?
And I think that's where like the nuance is a little bit, as we can be like however nuanced we can be about this topic, because I think it's very difficult. But there are athletes where I totally understand where they're not saying anything because we don't know if they have family in Russia. We know Putin's literal lunatic. Like, there's so much danger with that. But the thing is, Mazepin's dad is a billionaire, and Mazepin's dad has been photographed like in all these circles with Putin, like was part of that meeting of billionaires that happened right before he invaded. So it feels really I don't know, I want to laugh, I know I shouldn't, but it just feels very like out of touch. And like Caitlin said,
it does,
right? Like you said, it just shows that he just has no like
okay, Shanika, if you and I were pro athletes, right? Yeah. And Canada did the world's stupidest thing and invaded the USA. And from a bunch of associations just kicked us off of our team, I'd probably be like, okay, thank you, Canada. I'm not impressed with you. But like,
to start a foundation.
Start a foundation to try and get your way back in, when like the whole point of it is like Russia is putting so much like strain on like other countries' civilians, right? And literally killing them. Yeah. And like you're getting affected by this too, in the way that like you can't compete.
Yeah. It's
like simple. Yes, okay, you're losing a livelihood. And for some people, yes, like Shanika mentioned, that is a big thing. People's livelihood really matters. Yeah. His livelihood, his father can back him for fucking millennia. I mean, do you guys comprehend how much a billion is? Sometimes I forget how much a billion is. Like it's
I think it's impossible.
Insane.
I think we need to make clear, folks, we are all closer to being unhoused and living in poverty than we are to being a billionaire. So stop protecting billionaires. Also, I wonder, because I don't know that much about Uralkali, but you know, with all these restrictions and stuff and sanctions and things like that have been put on basically every industry tied to Russian anything and Russian oligarchs, I wonder if he's even still worth $1 billion. Who knows? But basically, we think it's ridiculous. Mazepin,
because they're a fertilizer company, so they're not gonna just like absolutely drop the bomb. Like the Russians themselves will have to use their product. I'm more than certain.
We just heard one of the kitties meow.
Sorry.
No, it's so cute.
Needy little kitty. Hi, honey. Hi, honey. Come here, say hi to everyone.
Oh, look.
For those that are watching, this is Fergus. And he's almost 1 year old. He turns 1 on the 23rd. Hey, honey.
Oh my gosh, you've had these cats for almost a year. So you've already moved to like a different province with them. Wild.
Amy, sorry.
Yeah. Well, do you have any more headlines or anything else to add other than like we're in Bahrain starting Sunday, back to back.
Sunday, yeah. Well, no, they're going on Thursday.
Oh shit, Thursday.
It's coming soon, man. Race day Sunday though.
I think this week is gonna fly by. I'm so excited though. This season I think will be really, really good.
Yeah, and let's see how they go. And you guys, yeah, join the Grid Rival League. Challenge us. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and we'll figure out a little a little prize or something or other
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
winner.
we'll figure it out. There's time.
There's
Um,
a year.
but anyways, we're gonna continue. We have a quick ad before we get into like the main story we're going to be talking about, y'all, is Drive to Survive season 4.
Yeah.
But we will get there soon. So this episode is brought to you by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider in Alberta. So offering internet, electricity, and natural gas with low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities. Winter is coming and energy usage for all Albertans will be increasing. So now is a great time for listeners to look at their utility bills and ensure they are on the best plan. Albertans have a choice who they pay their utility bills to. Park Power is happy to provide free, no obligation comparisons. If you decide to switch providers, it's easy, and you can feel good knowing that you are supporting a local business and helping to give back to your communities with your utilities bills. Learn more at parkpower.ca.
Amazing. All right, on to Drive to Survive. I think the first thing is, Caitlin, where are you at in the season?
Okay, I dropped the ball, y'all. I'm only on episode 4.
That's totally fine because I did the full opposite thing. I watched all of it. I watched all of it starting like 8 p.m. last night, went to bed, woke up, finished the last 3 episodes, I think, 2 episodes. So I've seen the entire season in less than 24 hours, which is why, Caitlin and I are not doing like school. We're not very good at prioritizing the right things. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have my thoughts for the first half, but Shani, I am interested to know how the rest of the season goes. I haven't been watching like fully either. I've been like trying to do homework on the side.
Yeah, because I think it's one of the challenges is we've seen this, right? We watched it live as it was happening, but you actually had the same note that I had when we were both on the phone chit-chatting.
Yeah, the same or like first thing we noticed, I guess, was the whole like flow of the show. It's kind of weird. Like I get it, and I know they concentrate on a team.
Yeah.
For an episode, but like it goes so back and forth with all the different races, and like some stuff I thought would be bigger. Like I remember the Monaco thing, and like Charles, he won the qualifying, but he couldn't race, and it was like a pretty minor event in that episode. And then Valtteri's like tire issue, I was like, oh, that was a thing, yeah. And it was like not big on Netflix. I'm like,
yeah, I think that the flow was really, really weird. For the first few episodes, you like kick off the season. So I think in my mind, I assumed, which also you should never assume things, but that they would just work through the season and like really key pivotal moments that impacted teams through the season. But I feel like we spent the first 2, almost like 3 episodes on the first couple of races, like the same races. So you're kind of like, time is just very weird because of that, and because of the fact that they kept going
you're
back.
saying it's only 8 episodes?
No, so the season is 10.
Okay.
And it gets better as the like season goes on, but the first like 3 episodes I was like, what are they doing? Like we keep going back to Bahrain, why are we starting the second episode in Bahrain again? Right, so it's so,
I mean, you consider like we definitely noted on this podcast, like the second half of that season was insane.
Yeah, so to have like 3 episodes focusing on weird stuff. Oh, sorry, we should say this is gonna be filled with spoilers, Caitlin. I'm sorry, not that you like you watched it live too, but we'll talk about. I think that I don't know. I've been trying to wrap my head around like why the choices were made, and I still can't figure out why they kept going backwards in time. I don't know.
I wonder if like we are just picking up on it because we maybe have our thoughts on how we would have done it based on the season because we watched it in person.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like if you're watching it without having watched that season, you're kind of getting a good vibe of it. But for us, no.
No, we did not enjoy it.
What else have you noted that you liked from the show so far?
That I've liked from the show so far. I mean, obviously okay, wait. Do we have to say we're technically talking about the things we don't like? So should we just continue on the things?
Okay, things you don't like. Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, why is there so much airtime for Christian Horner? Like too much airtime for Christian Horner.
Are they trying to get him into a different light?
I
It's
have
like I got the vibe that like they're trying to show him he's like the family man. It's like, but then they cut to the next scene where he was talking. Oh, I can't remember what race it was, but he started just dropping F-bombs and I'm like, yeah, that's classic Horner. Like we all know his vibe. And you're also showing him like horse riding with Jerry Halliwell, like having a great time, and then with the kids at the table. I'm like, you're trying to shine like a different light on him. Like fair, you can try all you want, but I think my opinion is pretty set in stone, TBH.
Yeah, I thought it was just didn't understand why they're covering him so much, but I think I know why maybe a little bit. And so much of it was just like his personal life. Like it was them at the farm, a lot more stuff with Jerry than I was expecting, which is totally fine. And then they of course did show Toto with his family, but it wasn't that long of a clip. Like it was
Also, it was very, I thought it was like almost weird to show for Drive to Survive. Like it's almost too personal in a way, right? Like it was a family dinner with like with his wife, his kid, grandma, and I was like
no, I think it's so weird because I think the way that Netflix saw this season was this battle of the team principals, and that's why they did this deep dive. Maybe I also was like, it was just so much on Christian Horner. I was like, we need to give Christian Horner less airtime, and we want more airtime of the drivers. Like that's what I want to see. And so I didn't like that, but I was trying to think of like why they did it. And as we know, Max said he would not participate this season, so he didn't do any of like the
interviews.
Yeah, any of the interviews or anything like that. And it seemed like a lot of the footage that Netflix thought was like stuff in passing or like stitched together from the camera views that they have, Sky Sports has and stuff like that. And so maybe they showed Christian more because there was no Max. Like that's what I was thinking, but it still was it was too much. It was too much. Too much Christian. Okay. It's too much. It's too much. He's too much. Okay. We cannot. No.
I did watch the Haas episode, or like I'm watching the Haas episode. I can't even remember, but it was interesting hearing those like behind closed door conversations with Gunther and he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, because
you stand your ground. Fuck yes.
And also with Gunther, like it was just the entitlement of the driver came off so like oh my god, it was so horrible the way that he was speaking to Gunther, and even though Gunther was trying to help him too and be like, hey look, people are like afraid of you, you need to
like your own like your race engineer, like be nice to him on the radio, like, and why is that something you have to tell someone?
Yeah, and also the weird conspiracy that the one who shall not be named and his father were hung up on was that something was different between the cars. And then like a manipulative boyfriend, Dimitri, who is the one who shall not be named's dad, was saying like, oh, I'm gonna pull funding, and it's like, what? It's it just is, it's so not good. And I didn't tell you this, Caitlin, but I did last week I was part of a conference and taught people on strategic partnerships, and they actually did one on Haas and Rich Energy, like as an example of a poor partnership.
Oh, that's okay.
And like what went wrong there and why it went wrong. But the conclusion I came to, especially with the issue now with your Callie, like not being part of it and now seeing the behind the scenes, is because Haas is so strapped for cash, they cannot stick to like whatever values that they hold. And it's also not clear what values that they hold. So when they're targeting sponsors, they went for Rich Energy, which had literally no money and was like the biggest fraud in the world that all of us still can't figure out. And they went for this like billionaire boys club company, which they then had to cut ties with because he was a Russian oligarch and all the stuff that we just talked about. So I think Haas has got to figure out their values anyways. But yeah, I think that episode was good though. Except seeing Gunther, I don't know how far along you are, hike that giant mountain.
I have seen that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, oh man, this is what you're doing on your summer break. Like,
if we thought we couldn't love Gunther more, we have been proved wrong.
Yeah, and I feel like he was very like much more measured. Like, seems to be having more fun. I don't know, even though I'm sure it was tough behind the scenes. But seeing him pose with a photo of a boat, the boat thing. I don't even know what it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So they have to do, you'll see this later in the episode, but they have to do like a photo shoot for like household goods, basically. So those like Gunther posing with a table, and then there's him posing with this like wooden boat thing, and he jokes that like, oh, it's his goal to be in an Aldi catalog, which I think Aldi is like a version of a Sears Zellers or something. But it's just so funny because it's like I saw this great meme on Twitter where someone said this is someone who thinks that they're the main character, which is Christian being like all Christiany, and then who's actually the main character, which is Gunther, like beside a wooden toy boat, being like, this is a boat. So, oh, he's still on my list of people that I would love to meet, just because.
Oh, he would be so much fun.
He is the main character, and yeah, I thought it was just so great. Like the last episode was hard to see them go through what they're going through, but Mick also I think did really well. Like he really shone in terms of not adding additional stress. Like obviously when the cars get into accidents, that's stressful, but in terms of like not being a spoiled brat and having these weirdo demands of the team, like
I think Haas, like the culture will be better this year, unless there's people that really didn't like Magnussen on the team and they're like, he's back. I mean, that's a possibility, but like I think overall, just not to have that like, I don't know,
energy.
just that like,
yeah,
keep the Mazepins happy, otherwise like literally this team goes to shit. Yeah. Like that's not a good environment to work in.
Absolutely not. And it's I think it's what's interesting for us too watching it now, right? Like we're watching it knowing that that contract is about to get cut. So it's also weird watching it with that perspective of like he's making all these threats, but little does he know, like come 2022, like that's just not going to be a thing. Like this is not happening. What else did I not like? Okay, this might be an unpopular opinion, so please just take it. I think there was like almost 2 episodes on Danny Rick. And I think that was maybe too many episodes on Danny Rick. Like we saw a lot of Danny Rick, his adjustment to like, there was a whole episode on Monza and his adjustment and stuff, but I even think in that episode before, there was a lot about him, which I didn't really understand why.
He's just like, Danny Rick does sell Formula One to a lot of people. Like he's a lot of people's favorite driver.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe it's because when this show started, it was
he was on the first episode,
and he was also like leaving Red Bull, right? Like that's kind of the.
It was a big storyline around him, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why they're continuing to follow him, because it's been the story from the beginning.
He is marketable.
That's also true. We know that he'll promote the hell out of the show too. So,
but you having watched all the episodes, did they do a lot on like Lando, Charles, Carlos?
Okay, so this is the issue. This is also under the things I didn't like. Obviously, I liked how they worked around the Max stuff. Like, I think they did it in a way that you don't miss him. Obviously, it would have been great to hear from him. Didn't get it. That's fine. A good amount of coverage tied to Lewis. So it felt like it was a good amount, but there was not enough about Charles, not enough about Carlos. There was like a few clips of Carlos, but it was like Carlos literally is
in clutch.
Yeah, like he did so well last year, and there wasn't that much on him. There was a lot on his relationship with Charles and how, you know, having a positive team, blah blah blah, but not specifically on what he's doing. So I thought that was a bit of a miss. And a lot on George, obviously. There's a whole episode dedicated to his time at Williams, which was great because I didn't know that much about the new CEO, Jost, who took over for Claire, and doing a full episode essentially on Williams was good because it was good to see how he's like re-energizing the team and all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna look forward to that one. That one was a good one. I'm surprised. Okay, this is like kind of tragic, but there was maybe one clip of Pierre in an interview room, and that was it. Nothing else, even though he had a pretty solid season in terms of like, I don't know, consistency. Like he was like there. They did cover Esteban Ocon and kind of what happens when you lose your seat and how do you get back, that kind of stuff. But you have Fernando Alonso, who had like drives of his life, and
it was a return season.
Yeah, and they like barely touched on that. Who else? The group that wasn't there at all, freaking Aston Martin. There was nothing on Sebastian Vettel. There was nothing on Lance Stroll. I don't even think we saw Lance Stroll. I can't even remember seeing him. Like,
I wonder if that's like a agreement thing. They didn't sign an agreement with Netflix, maybe. Do we know that?
Well, that's
I'm just saying that.
That's what I haven't looked into yet, but that's what I'm suspecting, because I was like, how are they not in this at all? And like, yes, Aston Martin was pretty much like mid-tier for the season. Yeah. There was like moments, especially for Sebastian, where he drove like really well. He got on the podium and like none of that was covered. And I'm like,
here's a hot take. Here's an opportunity. Netflix. Take a chance, do a one-off special, or concentrate in your next season. Mm-hmm. What kind of initiatives are they doing for environmental impacts and social impacts?
Yeah.
Bring that to more people's attention.
I think it's so important because that actually touches on something else that really bothered me. And I don't know if I was coming off the heat of all this stuff with Amelia and dealing with the level of misogyny we're seeing in this sport from fans. But you look at all of these video clips that they got behind the scenes, and there are like literally no women. There are maybe 5 that you end up seeing on screen. And I'm so glad that they had a female commentator also, like Jenny Gallo.
They did, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
which was important. And then they had Susie, which was great. But I was just like, holy shit, when you look at these spaces, there is not a ton of women at all, if any, in some of the teams. And I'm like, this is not a vibe.
Like, some of the social impacts Seb was doing. So 2 things already Netflix has missed. But remember when Seb like did the whole like women's race in Saudi Arabia, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, he was.
They didn't touch that?
Babe, MIA.
Yes, all things. That's a big miss.
Yeah, all of Aston Martin was just not in the show at all. Like I said, lots of coverage on like Danny and Lando and their relationship, which was, I mean, important, but I think, especially to Danny, I'm still trying to understand why they spent so much time on him. Valtteri, I'm glad they did an episode about him like transitioning, but I felt like they could have done a little bit more tied to that because it was so big. And this is where I'm like, it's tragic because there was not a single fucking thing on Alfa Romeo. Nothing about Kimi, who that was his last season. And again, I don't know if that's like a sign, like they just didn't sign the rights or something, but there's like not even a mention of Kimi retiring, like in passing or anything. You see him maybe twice on camera, and it's because of like they're walking through the paddock or something. So you don't see Kimi, and you don't even get a little bit of Giovinazzi, who now is not in Formula One. And it's like, okay.
That's so tragic. That is, man.
Yeah.
But I guess like, so when people are like bashing on Drive to Survive fans, is it really like they just think like you've missed a lot if you haven't watched the season, which like we're noticing that, yeah, you do miss a lot if you don't watch the season. Not that it's okay to bash people because that's how they get into the sport, but just saying it's worth it to watch the season then.
100%. So I guess if we're looking at all the teams, there was a good amount of coverage on Mercedes and Valtteri. I personally wish there was more on Valtteri's like leaving and kind of the stuff he was going through. He was very honest though, which I appreciate that. There was nothing really on Max, but a ton on Max at the same time with him celebrating stuff like that, but not him one-on-one. Nothing on Checo going to the team. Another thing where I was like, we're spending so much time on freaking
Christian Horner, and you're not talking about the new driver coming to the team.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but there's that. Who else? Ferrari and Charles, a little bit on both of them, but I would say not enough on the impact Carlos had this season. McLaren, a lot on McLaren. Like maybe a bit too much, who knows? A lot on McLaren. Nothing on Aston Martin. Barely anything on Alpine. Some more focus on Esteban, not enough on Fernando Alonso. Who's next? AlphaTauri. They talked about Yuki a lot in his adjustment, and it's actually nice the way that they edited it because you can see his growth as a driver, which is good. Nice. But barely, like nothing from Pierre, who we know had a pretty good season and who I love, obviously.
And he was like the one who carried the team for them.
100%. And they just were like, Yuki. I'm like, okay, fine, sure. And then what are the other teams? Yeah, nothing on Alfa Romeo. Haas, we had the episode, which I'm glad we did. So we got to see behind the scenes. And then Williams, you get an episode, but primarily tied to like the new CEO, George finally like getting the points. Not a lot on Nicholas Latifi, but I mean, I forget him all the time, so I think it's fine. Yeah. So far, though, Caitlin, what have you liked from the 4 episodes that you've seen? Look at her eyes.
I don't know, TBH. I think I do like the Haas like getting a bit more in depth, like what happened behind the scenes, behind the closed doors, because we didn't pay that much attention to Haas, TBH, throughout the season. So nice to get that again, see Gunther on the screen. Enjoyed that. I found it like awkward when they introed the McLaren team, when like Lando and Daniel weren't getting along that well, and they had to do like kind of damage control when Lando said something, and I'm like, yeah, I remember this. It's like awkward to watch it play out though. But I did like, and it's kind of upsetting that we don't get more of it, but I liked like watching like Carlos and Charles, and they're just driving in Monaco in the car and like having a conversation. He's like, oh yeah, you live here? This is pretty cool. And I'm like, you guys, I love you as a pair. It'd be nice to get their thoughts a bit more like interviewee, but we don't get that.
We don't get much of it now.
That's upsetting. But yeah, honestly, that's all I can really say. It's like those 4 episodes were not eye-catching and my attention was elsewhere.
Totally fair. And yeah, I think for me, what I liked was seeing how the drivers interact with each other, because you do get that behind the scenes, how they like encourage each other and stuff like that, which I think is really cute. And what else did I like? I don't know if it's just because, okay, I'm going to say that I'm probably biased. I'm just going to preface this with that. But seeing how like the juxtaposition between Toto and Christian and how they handle things was like really interesting to me, more so because Christian's always like, Toto had everything made for him, blah, 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 all this shit. But then when you think about the fact that like Toto is a co-owner of the team that he's at, and he's built this thing over the last 8 years, I just felt like a lot of respect for Toto Wolff, basically, in the way that he's done things. And you can see like that leadership, I would say, through the screen. So I'll actually share it with you, Caitlin, afterwards. But I snagged the Harvard Business Review thing that they did on Mercedes. And
oh, really?
Yeah. It cost me like $10. It's nothing. But I was like, I'm curious, right? Because after seeing how he handled everything, and not to say that he wasn't like emotional and that stuff happens in sport, of course, but I was like, he has like really good leadership skills. He's very good under pressure, and you can see that in the behind the scenes when he's talking and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that. Like I said, I liked seeing Yuki kind of grow up a little bit and how they edited that together too. And you get to see where he was living in Milton Keys, I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I guess the Red Bull Junior School is. So you see like a little bit of his apartment with his, I think maybe roommate. I don't know if it's an F2 driver, but just how 18-year-old it is. That is just so dirty. Anyways, so I liked that. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I think those are the standouts for me. I did like the Monza episode because obviously we wanted to see that perspective.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, to see how the team reacted.
Was there anything like, this is spoiler alert already, but like, was there anything that you learned about Danny's feelings or like his celebration that we didn't see before?
That's another issue though. Not really. Like we get a lot of the behind the scenes though from the team building up to that. So you get the like how frustrated Danny is, because we saw it on his face, obviously, and in some interviews where he was like, I don't want to do this. But you get more of a real-time play of that. And then also how concerned like the team was, because they were like, oh, we signed Daniel Ricciardo, and like, what are we getting right now? So I think that's like interesting. But yeah, you don't get like the full set of emotions, or like, I don't know. I think what you said about Drive to Survive being this pipeline that helps people get into the sport, but then when you watch the races and we know how intensely we felt. We have episodes on episodes of talking about how we felt through these wild races. So then go watch an edited version of it, which like somehow cuts down on the drama, is like so weird, because the
It's like,
season was
but
so
I
crazy.
swear there's more.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know what else do I like though. I'm trying to think about this, but I don't know. That's
Oh, did
kind
they
of
do anything about Checo in Mexico? That was a
babe, nothing.
fantastic part of the season.
Nothing. The only clip that they show from Mexico is in like a montage, I think, of sort of the boiling point is I think what the episode's called, where it's just a montage of like Max and Lewis going at it, and when each other comes on top. They do show Silverstone, by the way, which I thought was like super interesting to get the behind the scenes. But yeah, I don't know how Netflix goes from here, because this was probably the most dramatic season, and we were so excited to see it on camera and get the behind the scenes and like really understand the emotion of it all. But I don't know if like all of Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin plus Checo just didn't sign contracts. Like, I don't know what happened, but it feels like there was a lot missing, or a lot that could have been added to this season.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like going forward either. Like, I think they really just have to do an episode dedicated to a team, maybe, is the best approach, with some sort of narrative underneath that keeps everything connected. I have no idea.
Right? Or like if they're keeping a 10 episodes approach, like there were, I don't know, you'd have to count them out, like how many significant events, like particular events that happened, and like you can do some lead up to that event, show the event, and then like let's get some feedback, let's get some unique perspectives on those.
Yeah, because it's like, what the hell?
Because 23 races this year, it's going to be even more stuff likely for Drive to Survive to incorporate.
And so many newbies like that are coming back.
And we know K-Mag is going to bring some drama.
He's a dramatic dude. And also Alex Alba, and like that storyline of him going to Williams is going to be interesting, because once you watch the Williams episode, Caitlin, I'm curious to get your thoughts. But the one thing Williams needed was just someone to stay and help build the team, as they have the new CEO who has so much energy. And then of course he left, our boy Georgie, which is fine. Get the upgrade, you deserve it. But now they have Alex Albon, who is like gunning for the Red Bull seat. So it's also like,
who is it? Latifi? They bank
for no, you can't do that. He's so forgettable. So I don't know. Caitlin's right though. There's just so many things that are probably going to happen this year, and they just have to. It's hard because obviously there's a teeny tiny crew, so you can't be in the room all the time. But they got to find a way to do it, because I'm like, I want to see this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they could try something creative too, like drop half a season, drop 10 episodes for winter break, and then drop another 10 episodes in summer break or something. We know they have the capabilities to shoot stuff out fast. We know that.
Oh yeah, Nicholas is $1 billion company. You have enough talent to figure this out. Oh my god.
But interesting. Okay, it's like kind of disappointing to hear that, but however, we had like, we gotta watch that season, and that is something I hold on to.
I was actually gonna say, because so I think they had Will, is it Buxton, as the journalist, or the person that was doing the majority of the storytelling. You know, he kept saying this is the greatest race of the century, or like greatest season of Formula One. But actually, I am so glad that, you know, almost a year ago, Caitlin was like, hey, I watched this TV show about dudes like racing. Want to watch it? And I was like, okay, sure. And then I remember I watched the season backwards, right? Because you were like farther along. So we watched a couple episodes together. Then I went home and binged the rest, because I'm so glad we did that, because then it forced us to watch this season, create this podcast, and now we have it all documented. Like we watched the entire season, and if no one listens to us, that's fine. But we have a literal diary of like our thoughts throughout the whole thing that one day we can share with our future kids to be like, yeah, this is like what you missed. Okay. This is what happened.
This was the season. This was it, you guys. We documented it. And then what's crazy though is like, that's a high bar. Do I think it might get surpassed by this year? There's a solid chance it might.
Yeah. And I also think, we talked about how many things we're looking forward to this year, but it's the fact that the cars are new. There's new opportunity now for other people to get on that podium in a way that we haven't seen before in clearly like 8 years, it feels like. So this is another season where it's just exciting. So people, get your friends to watch along. You don't need to be like us and wake up at God knows all the hours to watch the races. You can also watch the reruns that happen throughout the day that are a more reasonable time. Because I don't know, I just feel like Formula One is a rocket ship right now, people. So gotta like get on board for it. I do want to make one note though. The whole series ends with a clip from Toto Wolff, and it's like really funny, Caitlin.
What is it? Tell me.
Well, because the whole episode he's wearing his white Mercedes shirt, and then Saudi Arabia happens. Oh, and something to note. Abu Dhabi. Yeah, happens. They don't cover anything that happened in terms of the drama afterwards. It's just like everything plays out, which still made me feel physically ill.
Is that because like production was already like halted maybe?
Potentially, right? Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. And so yeah, Toto the whole time is wearing his white shirt, white Mercedes shirt, doing all the thingies. So they must have reconnected with him after the fact, obviously, the race, and he's wearing a black turtleneck, and he like is so serious, and he's like, I think the interview asked him, well, does Red Bull have a target on their back? And he's like, everyone has a target on their back this season, or like the upcoming season. Just stone cold serious, black turtleneck. It's like he entered his villain era, I think, like very much like, what is happening here, sir? So yeah, I think the shining star, Gunther, Toto, just amazing.
That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah, you gotta watch the rest of the season. Let me know your thoughts.
Okay, I will. I'll probably because the next episode we do, you guys, is going to be based on the Bahrain first race of the season. But I'm definitely going to if I watch the end, probably will have finished the end of Drive to Survive by then. I can probably throw some stuff in there.
Yeah, please do whatever hot takes come up. I can't just, I don't know. It's weird.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, who would have thought that watching the full Formula One season would ruin a very expensive Netflix show? Like, it takes so much to film, so much to edit, so much to make look sexy, and watching the actual season
was a letdown.
Way better than watching the
season.
Like
watching the season was better. Watching the show is from what I hear, a letdown.
A bit of a letdown, yeah.
Interesting. Maybe through our connections, we're going to make it the Formula E in Vancouver, because we're going to make connections.
Okay, I was thinking about that, Caitlin. Susie, Formula E. I keep forgetting that she's like the CEO and team principal.
Yeah. Is she coming?
I don't know if she's coming. She started posting though that she's at like the races.
You know what I think we could do? I don't know if she would reply, but we could always just DM her. Just give it a shot and be like, hey, we're 2 female podcasters, just from Canada, would love an opportunity to talk to you if you're going to be at the Vancouver E for you, big fans, blah blah.
Yeah, so if anyone has the media contact for Susie Wolff and or her team, let us know, because I'm so down to pitch them, because we've got nothing to lose. The worst
exactly, why not try?
Yeah, exactly.
I pitched it to my school program to be like, we're in clean energy engineering, this is electric cars racing, can we go as a program for free? I don't know. I told them to reach out though. I don't know if they will. I think it'd be UBC has a lot of power in the city.
Yeah, so they should do it.
That's my thoughts.
Obviously. Maybe we'll also see Giovinazzi. Maybe pitch him for
if we can see Gio, I would love that. Okay. We gave him quite a bit of slack.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were just being honest. We were giving our hot takes, you guys, but we respect that, man. We do. We respect everyone that deserves respect. Maybe not so. He who should not be named, he does not have our respect for good reason, but
tons of reasons. Right. Yeah, that's all, folks, for this week. We're so excited.
Yeah, we hope you're excited to get in touch with us. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't know. We have accounts on everything, but it's at Get Checkered. I promise we'll be more active. I know we haven't.
We're trying. Yeah.
It's really tough with Caitlin having the lives that we have, but I'm going to try and build a routine in at least to check the tweets because I know as you all listen to the episodes, you're tweeting about it. So I will be better. Thank you. I will be better. And what else is there, Caitlin? Oh, right. Join us on Grid Rival.
Yes. So we'll put that link in a few places. You guys will find it.
Yeah. We'll make sure it's as easy to access as possible. And what else?
I think it's just like until Thursday. Well, even until Sunday, next episode. Yeah. Stay checkered, friends. Yeah. And we will talk to you again very soon.
Okay, bye, everyone.